Good morning, everybody. Let me just start by apologizing for not being able to be with you yesterday. It was, for some reason, out of my control, so I want to apologize for that. And let me just try to walk you through the POW of the month of August. And I will start by the main events in the POW. The first event will be today. We will have a threat to international peace and security, preventing terrorism from acquiring weapons. We will adopt a resolution drafted by Egypt, and so that will be the first adoption. We will have also a PRST on Burundi. The next event will be on Thursday, tomorrow, about sanctions. We still will be working on kind of product from the council. We don't know if it will be a resolution or a PRST, but still working on with our colleagues about that. But we will have a briefing. We will have the briefing anyway on the Thursday. Meal briefers, it will be the DPA, Mr. Tybrook. On the next one will be on the 25th. We will have the cooperation between the United Nations and the League of Arab States. The briefer will be the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Secretary General of the Arab League. Until now, we don't know yet if the briefer, Mr. Aboulatta, will brief us from via VTC or he will come to New York. We still, this point was still pending. The last event will be on the 29th, and we will have an open debate about peacekeeping operation, peace building, and sustaining peace. This will be the third one. We will have here 3 briefers. We are the DSG, still not confirmed yet, but we ask her to come and brief us. The second will be Yusuf Mahmoud from the Hippo, and the third one will be Ambassador Rosenthal. So that will be the main. We will have 2 AOVs, one on Yemen and one on UNMIL. We're still looking for a slot to put them there. So that's mainly the main event. The others, as usual, are the usual issues. We will have also 2 adoptions on the 30th. We will have an adoption on AMISOM and another adoption of UNIFIL. That will be the other 2 adoptions of resolutions. I guess that's it. I'm on Yemen and. That's it, and I'm open to any questions or any, please.
Thank you, Ambassador. On behalf of the UN Correspondents Association, thank you for coming to do this briefing, and you're forgiven for cancelling on us yesterday. I'm Sherwin Briceby, South African Broadcasting. I don't want to ask you about anything on your program of work, but on Venezuela. At what point, I mean, we're seeing reports that the country's on the brink of civil war, the situation is deteriorating. We saw attempts by the United States to put it on the Security Council agenda. At what point does a situation like this become a concern for the Security Council?
Look, I'm here to answer as the president of Security Council. I'm not here as my capacity as the president of Egypt. I'm just speaking on behalf of the Security Council as the president of Security Council. Until now, I think, of course, there is some concern, but at the end of the day, we see it as an internal affairs. Well, it did not harm the international peace and security right now, from my point of view. But at the end of the day, if the Americans or any other countries will ask for an AOP, we'll do it. Please.
Thanks a lot. Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks for the briefing, and hopefully we'll see you at the stakeout during the month whenever there's consultations. But I wanted to ask you, and I'm hoping, I guess both as president and if you can, Egypt's own experience with sanctions. I know there's the meeting on Thursday and that there's a draft resolution. I wanted to. It seemed that you're proposing a working group to look at sanctions and their impact on. If this is accurate.
Yeah.
My question is, it seems like, one, there's some pushback, or at least I asked yesterday the new Russian ambassador. He said we're still working it through. How much is Egypt's experience with the experts on South Sudan a part of this, as some people think? And what do you think could be improved about the sanctions regimes of the UN? What do you want to see done through the resolution and otherwise by council members? Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's a very important question. I think it is important to rationalize the sanctions committee. You know, we as Egypt, we did an area formula, I think 2 weeks ago. We had the country concerned, the countries that came out of sanctions and the countries that are still under sanctions regime, like DRC. It was important to listen to them, to listen to their experience, and try to see what went wrong. How can we improve the sanction regime? The sanction regime, at the end of the day, it is not an end. It's a mean, and it's one of the tools of the Security Council. So it is important to try to rationalize it, to make it even more efficient. So that's really what the aim of what we wanted to do in this resolution. Until this moment, you are right. We're still working on with other country members and Security Council members. We will have a product at some point about this issue.
Just one follow-up on the South Sudan experts, where they talked specifically about particular arms sales to South Sudan.
Yeah.
Do you think that you were treated fairly? What could be done to improve, I guess, the expert system in terms of what goes into the report? Do you think it's false? And does this process, could it solve that, or make some change to the way reports are written? Thanks.
There is no arm embargo on South Sudan. So whatever is in the report, I have no comment to it. But until this moment, there is no arm sanction embargo on this.
Mr. Ambassador, Rosalind Jordan with Al Jazeera English. Good to see you, sir. I have a question about the UN's role in trying to help resolve the rift among some members of the GCC.
Yes.
If this were to be brought before the Council, would you act in your capacity as president to hold this discussion? And doesn't the UN have a role, given that the various members of the GCC are involved in issues that are important not just to countries in the Middle East, but to countries around the world? The fight against al-Qaeda, the fight against ISIL, trying to restore peace to Syria and to Yemen. What is your comment on all this, sir?
Let me tell you something. I don't think the rift between the Gulf countries had nothing to do with the Security Council. I don't see it. We already, our position, you're talking about the 4 countries, about Qatar. I think our position was very clear from the beginning, and I don't think that the issue will be brought to the Security Council. I don't know. Can you specify a little bit your question? I'm not. Can you specify a little bit what you
in particular, when you talk about the ongoing efforts to try to end the war in Syria, when you have the various countries all providing some sort of support either to the opposition fighters or, in the case of Russia, providing support to the Syrians, isn't it in the interest of Russia and of the United States that the GCC rift be resolved as quickly as possible, and if necessary, be brought to the United Nations Security Council in order to make that happen more quickly?
Yeah, but it does happen in any way. What the Security Council had to do with this issue, with the rift between the Gulf countries? Had nothing to do.
It's a matter of security. It's a matter of people's lives being put in danger. It's a matter of trying to restore and retain the national boundaries of all the countries involved.
What do you mean the national boundaries? There is no way. All the national boundaries are intact. What's really? I don't understand your question really.
It's a matter of national security. The United States and Russia have troops in the region.
Yes.
Other countries in Europe have troops and national security interests in the region. And certainly the people who live in the region have had many decades of enjoying and engaging with each other across free boundaries with respect to national sovereignty. This ongoing rift, some could argue, is putting all of that, both the issues of dealing with terrorist groups and the issue of promoting regional unity, at risk.
We try to solve it. But it's not up to us. I think the position of the Gulf countries and the other Gulf countries and Egypt, I think the 4 countries was very clear. So we are waiting for a positive response from Qatar. That's really how I see it right now. There is nothing that I can add about that.
Thank you, Ambassador. Best wishes for a successful presidency. My question, well, it will include both the sanctions and non-proliferation. North Korea, again, violated the sanctions, made a launch of ballistic missiles, long-range ballistic missiles. Apart from U.S. Permanent Representative statement, what the Security Council sees, since North Korea is a client, a permanent client at the Council, and with a number of sanctions resolutions mandated by the Council, and we haven't seen really any move or any call to further strengthen the implementation of these resolutions. Where does the Council stand on that issue, especially during this month and after the recent launch? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that there is some talks right now between the 15 members, and especially between the United States and China about this issue. I saw the latest statement by Ambassador Nikki Haley about there is no need to get it now in the Security Council if we're going to have business as usual and we will have another resolution. But that's the position of the United States. But until this moment, I think we are working on something, and product. My latest information that still it will take a little bit of time on this.
Thank you, Nizar Aboud of Al Mayadeen Television, Lebanon.
Which television?
Al Mayadeen Television in Lebanon. Questions about Al-Aqsa and Al-Haram, Qudsi Sharif. Yesterday we seen the settlers storming the Al-Haram protected by the police themselves. So are you going to revisit this issue again during this month? Do you think? Can you imagine holding another emergency meeting in case things deteriorate? Especially it is a matter of peace and security for the region.
No, thank you. It's if there is any escalation, of course, there is a possibility that we can ask for an AOB. But until this moment, I think the major crises have been avoided, and we are working with our concerned countries like Jordan and Israel, and I think we managed, like I said at the beginning, to avoid a big crisis on this. But until this moment, I think things are relatively calm. But I think we have to look closely to this. But if there is an escalation, we might ask for an AOB.
Ambassador, my question was about Yemen. There was a proposal, I think, a U.S.-British proposal to send letters from the Security Council to the parties. Can you tell us where that is at? And why is there not a formal meeting on Yemen scheduled?
There is an AOB about Yemen.
An AOB?
An AOB about Yemen.
On the world's worst humanitarian crisis?
Yeah, it's about Yemen. So it will include everything. But to tell you want to ask about Yemen?
Okay, about the letters.
So we'll be briefing and consultation, yes. But we don't know yet in what slot we're going to put it. But there will be a briefing and a consultation about Yemen. Still, it's on hold with
Can you tell us, what's the discussion about? Whether or not this is a good idea?
There is some countries that didn't think that the role of the Security Council is to send letters. That's it. It's better to work on something to try to alleviate the humanitarian situation in Yemen. Please.
Thank you, Ambassador. أنا رشاد أتكلم بالعربية طبعا. أسألك رشاد الخضر.
يا رئيس رشاد الخضر. I have two questions. The first, the mic is off. I have two questions. The first, I addressed the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Qatar. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar said that he wished that the Security Council would help mending the rift in the GCC countries. What is your comment? My second question is related to Yemen. Yemen is subject to the worst humanitarian crisis in the history since World War II. 17 million are prone to die because of insecurity and lack of medications due to the internal and external war by the coalition countries led by Saudi Arabia. Why do not you adopt a resolution in the Security Council while you preside over the Council in August to stop the war against Yemen and to take measures with consultations with all parties. Allow me to respond to the first question about the pronouncements by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar. I heard those announcements and I said the demands by the four countries are clear, and we are waiting for Qatar to deal with these demands in a positive manner, to provide positive response. As to the second question, there are some proposals from Ismail Sheikh Ahmed, the Special Representative of the Secretary General, to improve the humanitarian and the political situation in Yemen. And being member to the Security Council, and I do believe all other members to the Council will respond to the demands by Ismail Sheikh Ahmed so that we can help improve the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Yemen.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, and good luck on the presidency.
Thank you.
Pamela Falk from CBS News. I want to follow up on the previous question about DPRK. I understand there are divisions on the Council, and the U.S. and China are talking about a resolution. But in your national capacity or as president of the Council, do you think it's worthwhile to have a Security Council meeting given the two ballistic missile launches in 1 month of North Korea?
If there will be a demand from any countries, of course we will put it in the program of work. So I think it's a great, of course, and we think also that the DPRK in violation of international of the international law and all the sanctions. So if there will be a demand from any country, of course we'll abide with it.
And in your national capacity?
Yes, I did my national. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. This ended up on the floor. There's been an Iranian missile launch. I wondered what Egypt's view was on whether this broke any measures in the resolution that was adopted after the nuclear deal in 2015, or whether you expect the Council to take this up. And as a follow-up question on your answer on sanctions, you said, I think it's important to rationalize. I wondered if you could elaborate on exactly how you think that should be done.
You talk about the sanctions?
Yeah.
Yeah. I start with the sanctions, of course. Like I said before, I think it is important to rationalize the sanctions in a way that that there has to be a kind of, for example, exit strategy from the beginning. How the sanctions can be avoided, how the sanctions can be more effective, how the sanctions cannot affect the humanitarian life of the people of the country, how we can talk to this country concerned. Well, I like to see, we want to have a continuous evaluation of the sanctions to see what went wrong, how we can make it better. That's exactly the aim of the sanctions. And I think it was very clear when we had the area of Olmera that all countries really wanted to have this kind of reviewing, of continuous reviewing of the sanctions. Please. Sorry. Can you repeat the questions?
I just wondered what Egypt's view was on the launch of the satellite on a rocket that the Iranians did last week, and whether you think that this might have been any kind of a violation of the resolution that was adopted in 2015, and whether you think the Council might take this up.
Yeah, I'm speaking here as the president of the Security Council, not as Egypt. So if there is any country again wants to bring this issue, we will abide with it. Please.
Thank you, Ambassador. Good luck this month.
Thank you.
Margaret Bashir, Voice of America. Ambassador, I'm sorry, I know you don't want to answer in your national capacity, but this morning there are news reports that Qatar has ordered 7 warships from Italy, and I just wanted to get your reaction to that, if you think it's a provocation or an escalation or...
It's a sovereign decision by the Qatari, but I cannot comment on this. A sovereign decision to ask whatever they want. I have no comment on this.
Yes, on the renewal of UNIFIL mandate, have you received any questions about whether UNIFIL is doing its job ridding South Lebanon of arms as prescribed by the Security Council resolution? Also, you mentioned Ambassador Rosenthal. Can you tell me who he is?
Ambassador Rosenthal, he was the previous ambassador of Guatemala a few years ago, and he is part of the AG advisory group. No. And on UNIFIL, we didn't receive it. We did not receive anything. We have a consultation. We have a consultation, I think, on the 23rd. We have the consultation on the 23rd, and we'll see in the consultation.
So do you expect the renewal to be automatic?
Yes. I think so.
Rhonda Haubin, and I'm a blog columnist at tots.de. I have a question about the Palestinian resolution of December 2015. And when I listened to what a number of the members were saying during the recent Security Council meeting discussing it, a number of members said that the resolution said that the Secretary General should be evaluating the implementation in his periodic reports, and that they don't feel that's being done. Will somebody present that to the Secretary General, or do you know how that will be handled? And then I have another.
You are talking about the December 23-34?
2015.
23-34.
Yes.
Okay.
So
2016.
I'm sorry.
2016.
Oh, 2016. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, there is a report had been asked by the Secretary General to present it. It can be presented orally. It can be presented in writing. But I think it had been presented by Mr. Mladinov. So that's how it is.
Some of the comments by the member states was that the evaluation does not say what's being implemented and what isn't. And that they wanted that particular aspect to be, to be fulfilled on.
No, it's been presented by Mr. Mladinov. He spoke about the development of settlements, and I think it's and in the next meeting, I think he will present again an evaluation of the situation on the ground.
Okay, and I have another quick question on the DPRK, and that is. Essentially, according to the charter, they're supposed to be invited to the meetings to say what their side is. And recently, what's come out is they do have a security problem in terms of feeling they don't have, they need help they need something to provide them with security. And so,
now, if they want to speak in the meetings in the Security Council, to be present?
I thought the council is supposed to invite them. It's not just speak.
No, they have to request it.
No, it's in the charter. It says, I think it's Article 5, Section 32. It says that they should be invited. They shall be invited. And I just hadn't seen that that the council does that.
I think due to Article 37, they have to ask for to be present. And if they ask, I think it has to be provided for them. So, but I look at the article that you are talking about. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Best of luck for your presidency this month. George Baumgarten, correspondent for Jewish newspapers in North America, as well as for some East African and Pan-African publications. First, may I assume, since it doesn't specify the meeting on the 22nd regarding the Middle East, is the usual monthly meeting on Middle East, including the Palestinian question?
Yes.
And also, lower center, the Lake Chad Basin report, is that a report that's coming from the SG's office? And what is this letter from the Russian Federation? I haven't seen that yet. Maybe it'll be with the documents today. Thank you.
In the footnote?
Yes.
And the letter of the Russian Federation?
2014-264.
About Ukraine. Ukraine, yeah. And the first question was on the report.
The Lake Chad Basin report, is that something that's coming from the Secretary General's office?
It's a Secretary General report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Mr. Ambassador, and congratulations on your presidency for the month of August. My name is Rami Ayari. I'm with Al Jazeera Arabic's UN Bureau. In light of this morning's event on preventing terrorists from acquiring weapons, I wanted to ask a counterterrorism question. Some months ago, the U.S. placed a request to add the ISIS branches in Libya, in Yemen, in Khorasan, and in Saudi Arabia to the UN sanctions list. And Egypt placed a hold on that request. I'm just curious as to why.
We didn't put a hold on that request. Did we put a hold on it? I think it's we didn't put a hold, but it's still under consideration on the sanctions committee. That's how it is right now. But we didn't put a hold. But we wanted more consultation and more talk about it, but we didn't put a hold on it. We didn't object. We just need more consultation on it.
What is your stance on the request?
We still want more consultation. That's it. Not really. Please.
Good morning, Ambassador. Fumitaka Sato from Japanese NHK. My question is follow-up on the North Korea, DPRK. So do you have any prospect or timeline for the new resolution?
By definition, it takes a long time, by my experience in the council, that is a very sensitive issue, and I think the talks between the Chinese and the United States is going on right now. So I cannot tell you exactly when we will have something, but talks are still there. I don't know if we will have it this month or next month, or I really don't have an answer for this question. But it's a very sensitive issue, very complicated issue, and I think it will take a little bit of time. If there is no question, please.
I just wanted to, I'm not sure if you'll comment on it, but the recent meeting in France about Libya between Mr. Sarraj and Haftar. Do you, if you're willing to, what do you think this is a good step forward? What do you think are the next steps forward in Libya, or in terms of the council, and if you're willing to?
It is a very step forward, very important. We worked on it with as Egypt and France. We work on it, and I think we should build on it. First of all, I want to take the opportunity, of course, to pay tribute to Ambassador Martin Kobler. Really, he did lots of achievement, and we have to build on this. I met with the new SRG, Mr. Hassan Salama, and I think also we are very optimistic about his appointment, and we think it's a very important move. He knows, he has very great experience. He's one of the regions, so I think like I said, we are very optimistic. But the move to have this meeting, and I think it's a start, and it's a very important start about the meeting between Haftar and Sarraj, and we will be building on that. Again, I met with Mr. Hassan Salama. He will be visiting the region. He's going to Tripoli, I think, in Libya very, very soon, and then he will visit Egypt and Italy in the near future, and he will be working on some ideas that will be presented by the Secretary General in the coming few weeks.
France is taking the leadership on this, on Libya, from the UN, and do you think that France is a good contributor in this case?
Look, to tell you the truth, any country that can contribute to alleviate the problem of this country is very important, France or others. But again, the effort done by France is very important, and it's been done with close consultation with Egypt. We work together to have this meeting, the meeting between Haftar and Sarraj materialized.
One final question for housekeeping purposes. There are two briefings on peace and security in Africa on the 10th and on the 15th. Are those aimed at particular security situations, particular countries?
On the 10th, the DIG, Mr. and Mrs. Amina Mohammed, will be briefing the Council about her trip to DRC and Nigeria. And sexual violence. Okay. And the 15th, it will be on sexual violence.
No, this one on G5, sir.
Which one? Resolution 2359. No, there will be an update on Resolution 2359 on the 15th, the Peace, Security in Africa. Please.
General Assembly, and number two, if the US does go ahead and add the Muslim Brotherhood to the foreign terrorist organization list, would Egypt see that as a positive step forward?
About the first question, we don't receive any confirmation yet that the president is coming or not. I think we are waiting for a decision in the really coming few days. And the other question, I didn't hear it.
If the US goes ahead and puts the Muslim Brotherhood onto the foreign terrorist organization list, would Egypt see that as a positive step forward?
It will be a positive step forward indeed.
There's a deal today in Lebanon going on between al-Nusra and the Lebanese forces, different forces, that the al-Nusra is leaving to Idlib again. What do you think this amassing of terrorist organizations and groups in Idlib, how can this be handled later on? Is there any vision how Idlib situation will be handled?
We always thought that any terrorist groups in Syria is harmful to the process itself, and we always, as Egypt and as the President of Security Council, we will be working to prevent any finance or anything to this organization. So that's how it is right now.
But that will have serious ramifications on the inhabitants of Idlib and that governorate.
Of course. If there is no other question, I want to thank you so much, and see you in the. Thank you.